possible, not to be repeated. All right.
Well, we're kind of under deadline, so just kind of tell us your reaction of what happened.
Well, let me just tell you to begin with. I got to tell the story. I'm not going to just tell you what's going on today. But anyway, I've made a living with real estate. I owned over 500 units at one time, or 300 units, I should say, in Los Angeles, St. Louis, and
low income.
I've done all low income housing. But anyway, I actually sold all my real estate off just before the crash of '08 and retired. And I got a call about this place. Somebody called and said, "Hey, there's a place there in Omaha. Got your name all over it." And it was completely boarded up and vacant and scheduled to be torn down. And so I looked at it and I said, you know what, this is something I can do. And anyway, my wife and I decided that we would spend our retirement years saving this 100 units of low-income housing.
So we have 5 children. They're all married, so we don't have to worry about them. So this is kind of our, we feel like it's a mission.
This was Tommy Rose Garden Apartments, it was all over the news. You guys heard about it all the times. I mean, I fixed literally hundreds of bullet holes in this place. And we went through every one of these units, completely rehabbed every unit, except the one we live in. I guess that's the only unit that has actually never been painted since we bought the place.
No, Lauren.
No, our
have
apartment.
A bad floor.
No.
Anyway, go ahead.
But anyway, so that's what we decided to do. We decided to come out here and give back to our God and to our community. And what is our community? It's God's community, and that's good enough for us. And so we came out here with the intent that we would rehab this 100 units and we would salvage 100 units of low-income housing. And we've done that without one dime of taxpayer money.
So how do you respond to, all the complaints from residents? We've heard there's been 90 code complaints reported since September 14th.
Yeah, and I think what that's got to do is, that's got to go back to, it's been a couple of years, I guess. We had an apartment here that wind blew off the roof of this building over here. It was one of those real bad Nebraska windstorms, and we have these flat Goodyear rubber roofs, and the wind just lifted one side up and just pulled it all the way back over the air conditioners. And we got it back on as best we could, but we just fought with leaks on that thing for a whole summer. In fact, probably close to a year on one particular unit. Ceiling fell in, and we just tried to keep it open. We were working with the tenant because we wanted to see if it was leaking. We would patch it, and it would rain, and we would patch it, and it would rain. We finally got it actually fixed. That thing, it just wasn't that big of a deal. It was one little hole that we were just missing. But
so you're saying the 90 complaints just came from one unit?
No, this is just the beginning.
Oh.
Yeah.
And but what happened there is that somebody came in and saw that ceiling down and decided, I can get this fixed. And so next thing I knew, they filed a discrimination action against me. And she got my attention, but that was completely the wrong way to go about it. She just, I guess, is used to people cowering down when she says jump, and I got upset. And I told her, you know what, there is absolutely no discrimination going on here. And I wrote some nasty letters, and I fought that thing all the way to the end, and eventually it was dismissed. But first thing I did is I went to the tenant and I showed him the affidavit, and I said, let me explain to you what this is. This says that because you are Korean, I am not fixing the ceiling.
And she laughed.
She laughed. She literally laughed. And I have this all recorded. And she says, no, that's not why. And I said, do you think that I'm discriminating against you? And she said, no, not at all.
We lived with them.
And, we go to their birthday parties and their weddings, and, But anyway, so I went back to the people and I said, you're using these people. You're manipulating them. And for all the wrong reasons. And if you have an issue, come talk to me. But no, they just somehow thought that they could go file a discrimination action and everything would be fixed. But it got me mad, and I took them on. And
So this is what happens when you take people
yeah, this is really where that has gone.
Because they're quoting what happened there. They say that it has nothing to do with it, but they quote different things that happened.
I know we're dealing with the same people. And the next thing I know is that they went and found another apartment, did exactly the same thing, filed another discrimination action. I went to that tenant too, and I've got it all recorded.
With interpreters.
And they both said, no, we wouldn't have done this, we didn't intend to do this, we don't believe this. That actually went all the way to the commission. We had a hearing. They found me guilty of discrimination, and in that case, what a sham. I mean, it was all based on lies and everything, and false affidavits, and so after they found me guilty, it says that I can either sit down with them and work out ways to not discriminate, or I can demand that it goes to a federal court. I told them, we're going to court. State's Attorney General looked at it and said, we're not going to court, and he dropped it all. But it made these women so mad, I think, that they've been after me ever since. And what you've got here now, I'll bet if we went through all of those affidavits, and I'll invite you to come over after they take this tape down. Let's go talk to the tenants and see how many of them actually know what they did. And I'll guarantee that at least 80 of those 90-some tenants that filed those complaints are going to say, what? I didn't file that.
You think that the city is filing complaints on behalf of people?
Yes.
I don't know if it's the city.
I think it probably goes back to I know we've got Restore Dignity here, who has probably taken a lead on it, and I don't know who else we've got. But we've got people who have gone around and just written up these complaints and had them sign them. And I guarantee when it all comes down to it, we've gone around and talked to them. They say, we don't have a problem. We don't want to go anywhere. We love it here. Last
night we had people knocking on our door, crying.
They're terrified.
Said the police are going to take us out. Is that true? We said, no, this is America. Police can't do that. Maybe in Thailand they can.
Well,
and now we're finding out that maybe we were wrong. But they said, we don't want to move. And we said, you can. If you want to move, you can.
I just talked to Scott from the city, and he's been very reasonable, and he assures me that the goal is not to move them out. And I hope that's the case, because we certainly don't want them to move. They don't want to move. Like I say, I'm afraid what we're going to find in the end is we got a couple of mean girls who have a vendetta against me. They're bullying me. They think that they don't know how to solve problems, apparently, without bullying the landlord. All they have to do is come talk to me. I actually found people walking around the apartments here about a week or so ago, and I asked who they were, and they wouldn't tell me. They wouldn't even tell me who they were. I finally got, come on, what's the problem? Why can't you just tell me the truth? Tell me who you are and what you're doing here. And I noticed that they were having a meeting over in one of the units, and so I went over and I walked in, and they said, you can't come in. You have to give 24 hours notice. And I said, well, that's not actually true either. But I knew the tenants. I asked the tenant, I said, do you mind if I stay? And she says, no, go ahead. Well, next thing you know, these people were bullying her to kick me out, and they ended up threatening to call the police if I didn't leave. I mean, I don't know how you solve these issues without working with the landlord, but that's what we would like to do. We'd love to work with them, but they don't want to do that. They're excluding me from the meetings. I didn't even know this was happening until
people knocked on our door.
All the rumors started coming out last night, and I started going around and finding out that this was happening. Why couldn't they have told me? Why couldn't they have come to me? Why couldn't they have said, here's some work orders, would you go to work on these, you know? And if they would simply do that, that's what we're here for. That's what we're doing here. That's why we are living in North Omaha instead of our big home.
I guess what we hear is, how long does it take to fix that air conditioner? If we were talking to tenants, they said next year was the proper timing.
That just happened yesterday when he said it is now time to work on heaters. Yesterday, it's not going to have any more hot days.
Yeah, there you go.
We're working on.
So yesterday, it's the first. Yes, but tomorrow, summer's over. Yeah, huh?
Nobody really knows.
You won't need an air conditioner till next spring. And I've got far more important issues to deal with, and besides that, every unit here has a window unit. If I can't get to the air conditioner, I have a storage of window units and I'm willing to go in there and just hand them a window unit. And every tenant that has complained to me about not having air conditioning, I have window units. I'm happy to have them go.
Do you have air conditioning?
I have air conditioning. Do I have in my unit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how come they can't have air conditioning but you can?
They do have air
They do
conditioning.
have. We have had times.
That's my point. Every one of them has air conditioning.
don't?
They're not all the central air units, because some of them had to give window units to
So
get
they
by
all
until we
have
can
air
fix the air.
conditioning.
Right, so
Because
what if
right now we're inundated with a lot of work orders, mostly the ceilings. After 8 inches of rain in 2 days, we got a lot of ceiling issues, roof issues that we've been dealing with, and we're trying to prioritize and take care of the more important issues. Air conditioners right now, like I say, if they've got a window unit, they're cool, and so they're okay.
I mean, we've heard people have had to move out for days at a time because it's too hot to stay in their units, or because the flooding was so bad. I mean, they had to literally find other places to live for several days.
Nobody has ever come to us with that. If they had come to us with that, we would have provided them with all the window units that they needed. I could give them up to 3 per unit if they need to.
So there's a 3-bedroom that had 1 bedroom of that they the water was coming in, and so he said, we're charging you as a 2-bedroom now until we get it into a 3-bedroom.
Yeah, I do have a couple of units where the 1 bedroom is
still working
out of
on
service, and I've got my maintenance people in there putting the units up, and I lowered their rent.
Have you ever been contacted by city housing before?
In what regard? I don't understand.
Have you been contacted by city housing about the conditions of the apartments?
I just talked to
No.
one of the inspectors.
No.
Just
What,
a minute,
writing?
just a minute, Janae, because
In writing?
we had 2 units that burned up here. One of the tenants actually was barbecuing out on the back wood deck and caught a couple
grandma.
of units on fire, and so we dealt with the city housing
Totally
on
burned
that.
all 2 units.
We did have a call down on that 1 unit that I was talking about under the discrimination. The social workers or whoever it was did call the city in, and we worked with them on that. We filed a code violation, and we went ahead and did all of that and got it back.
We find them serious.
But you've never been contacted by city officials over the conditions of the apartment complex?
Within
whole
the last year.
5 years?
2 years?
Like I
5
said,
years?
no. I just told you there was two issues. Twice, I believe we had. Once where we had the fire that was caused by the tenant. We had to work through the whole process.
7
They
years ago.
probably did $100,000 of damage that I paid out of my pocket. And by the way, that tenant was just afraid I was going to throw her in jail. And what I did is I moved her into.
She did violate by not allowed to.
She cost me $100,000.
Not allowed to do a fire on your
But,
deck.
and then I found out she had a handicapped child. I bought her a car and gave it to her. She eventually moved out of the units because she had a child that couldn't go up and down the steps.
A couple of the residents we talked to said that there was possibly safety issues with the health, possibly mice, and then also a safety issue with possibly gas leaks and things like that. Is that?
Yeah, let me address the mice to begin with. Of course, the refugees, they use a lot of rice, and they just put it on the bags. And a lot of people have come in, the service organizations, trying to teach them how to put it into containers and stuff. But we spent thousands of dollars with live traps because I just don't like the idea of having the mice die in the walls and decay, and so we did everything we could to catch them with live traps
And teach them how to use them.
How to use the live traps.
$25 each?
Yeah, eventually
They threw them away.
We just finding them all in our trash. And finally, it was probably close to a year ago, we just gave up and said, you know what?
Started with the bait.
We're just going to bait them.
And so that's what we do.
And it worked. We got rid of the mice. If there are mice now, it's because somebody hasn't told us about it. We have the bait. All we have to do is throw the bait out. Like I say, I hate to do it because I know that the mice are going to go die in the wall somewhere and decay, but that is what it is now, I guess. But I think the mouse issue is gone. We used to catch them all the time in our apartment. Haven't caught one in our apartment for close to a year, I'm betting. And that's how we know whether or not it worked, and it did. We got rid of the mouse problem. If there is mice in the units now, just let us know. We'll throw the bait out and it'll be gone.
Yeah.
That's an easy issue for us.
So are you aware of any issues with either gas leaks or mold or anything like that?
Okay, well, let's talk about the gas leaks now, and because they have come in, and like I say, the problem is I got a couple of ladies that I offended, and they're on a rampage, and so they've been calling MUD, every time. And I mean, I went into one unit and I could tell it was the girl's perfume. I mean, really strong. And there was no gas issue. MUD has been coming out, and you can talk to them about it. They've tagged a few of them, but most of them have actually been pilot lights. The refugees have never used an oven. When they come here, they have never seen a gas oven. And most of them, a lot of them, are still barbecuing out on their little hibachi things outside. We see this all day, every day. People are out there just cooking in their little things because they don't know how to use the oven. They don't want to.
We've tried to teach.
You know, is it my job to teach them? I try, yeah. And if they ask, we go in and we teach them.
Some of them brought me a pizza, and I had to go over their house and show them how to put it in. I'm like, whoa!
Can you describe basically the conditions in the apartments, the basic overall conditions in the apartments?
I'd be happy to.
They're low-income apartments.
Well,
$500.
We have been through every unit in here. Whenever a tenant moves in, it is freshly painted. Every unit has been painted when they move in. Every unit has been cleaned when they move in. Every unit has been repaired when they move in.
Wood flooring.
Cabinets are usually repainted, and you know, I mean,
it's really good.
Honestly, they are not tidy people.
Our son, who he manages some apartments, and he said there are many owners that will not rent to Karen because of their cleanliness habits.
I mean, I spend just in labor. I'll bet it costs me over $2,000 a unit to turn it over. I collect a $400 deposit. If they even clean, I will give that back to them.
During Section 8 involved here?
No.
No.
But if they will even clean their apartment, I will give them their full deposit back.
And we're proud of them if they would.
I never charge them more than the deposit. Even,
what do you think if a resident is? They may be going down there. What do you think? You know, she will be here shortly. I don't know if she's down there yet. I don't see her.
Okay. She's supposed to talk to us.
You know, what do you think if a resident is saying that you're taking advantage of them? How do you feel, and what would you say?
I have never.
We've never had that happen. How
never.
would we take advantage of
I have all these people coming in who claim to be their advocates saying I have, but I have never once had a tenant come to me and accuse me of discrimination, of taking advantage of them, or cheating them.
When they move because they bought a house, and we're happy for them. They brought our truck. We've helped them move.
Let me tell you a story early on when we were rehabbing these units. Is that I found out one of my workers was charging the tenants for maintenance issues. I found out that he would go in, and if he had to snake a kitchen sink, he charged $20 to both tenants.
Mayor,
on both sides.
this is the owner. We'd love to talk to you.
Please, Gene, I'd love to talk to you. I was appalled. I found out, I cut a piece of glass and I sent him down to put it in the window. He charged the tenant $50 for that. He was charging them for parking in front of my garbage cans. I was appalled when I found that out. I fired him. I sent my wife to the bank, told her I want thousands of dollars in 10s and 20s. I went through these apartments and I just knocked on the doors and I said, how much did he take from you? I don't care.
And they said $35, but you don't have to pay us. We're like, no, we're paying you.
How much did he get?
So
whenever you tell me, I gave it to them. And that developed a rapport with these people that has lasted a very long time. And that's, I will go out of my way to be more than honest with them.
We've never taken one to court. They've left things just a mess.
This is not about
thousands of dollars of damage. We just don't give them their $400 deposit back.
I could raise their rent easily, market rate.
What is it now?
They're all paying less than $600. They're all paying in the $500 range for two and 3 bedroom apartments. I could easily raise that.
I know you guys want to get down there. A couple of quick, just clerical things. How long have you owned the property here?
About October of 2007.
Okay, and also you said, was it just a group of tenants that are getting against you, or was it a certain group that's advocating for the tenants?
It's the advocates. The tenants,
do you know?
The tenants are not complaining.
Okay.
It's restoring dignity.
It's mostly, I think, restore dignity, and I know the lady. I don't know if she's involved here, but Leslie Seymour was the lady that I had a real problem with before.
She was mad. She was going to get Julie.
With fair housing and stuff, and so I've just got a couple of ladies that are just on a tangent, and but we're here to help. We're here to fix whatever needs to be fixed. Mostly we're here for the tenants. That's what we're doing here. That's why I'm spending my retirement years living in a low-income apartment in North Omaha. We don't need the money. It's not about the money. Like I say, I charge the tenants subsidized rent, if you will.
We are subsidizing.
I'm the one that's subsidizing it. I have 100% occupancy. I have a waiting list. Any good property manager would tell you it's time to raise the rent. And we had a property manager for years trying to get us to raise the rent. We just said, no, I don't want any more of that.
So then bottom line, obviously you've got teams of inspectors going through all these units. Will they find anything concerning?
I'm sure they'll find some things. They'll find it. I think we've got 2 or 3 or 4 units where we may still have some of the ceiling that has fallen, and but we're monitoring it to make sure that the leak is stopped, and we'll get that back up as quick as possible.
We have our manager call.
Gas leaks,
after a rainstorm, he calls.
Most
get anything? Late
yeah,
now, no.
I have somebody that walks through every unit that we know had a leak. Every time it rains, like the other day when it rained, we walked through and we've noted every unit that is still leaking. But the gas leaks, they've almost inevitably turned out to be pilot lights, standing pilots that were not lit. And of course, this woman comes to me and says, well, it can explode. Well, anybody with any intelligence knows that a pilot light's not going to cause an explosion.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Katie. If you want to get heading down there, yeah.
Talking to the city, Scott.